Hello, everyone. Welcome to Simply's Juliet TV. Today, I want to share with you the story of Ayanna, a young girl whose journey will captivate you from the beginning to the end. Her choices, her struggles, and the lessons she learned will leave you thinking about your own part in life. This is more than just a story, it's a powerful message about decisions and consequences. So, sit back and watch as Ayanna's story unfolds. Trust me, there's a lot to learn from what she's been through.
A story of regret. Yuzashu. I grew up in the quiet village of Nyamekie, a place where traditions ran deep and the people lived simple lives. Everyone knew everyone, and the expectations for how we should behave were clear. Respect your elders, be kind to your neighbors, and live by the values passed down through generations. But from a young age, Ayanna, always felt restless, like there was something more out there for me. I wasn't content with the small life everyone seemed to accept. By the time I turned 16, my patience had run thin. I wanted more than village life. I wanted excitement, freedom, and adventure. And so, I started pulling away from the people I had once respected, sneaking off to town with those who promised a life of fun and indulgence. The city, with its bright lights and fast pace, called to me like a siren song, and I followed eager to break free from the quiet traditions of my village. It started with small acts of rebellion. I'd sneak out at night, meeting with people my parents would never approve of. The more I tasted the thrill of freedom, the more I craved it. The city seemed alive in a way our village could never be. There were parties that stretched until dawn, people who didn't care about rules, and places where I felt like anything was possible. I no longer cared about school, responsibilities, or the warnings from my parents. They told me this path would lead to ruin, but I was too blinded by the excitement of my new life to listen. The people I surrounded myself with were dangerous, though I refused to see it. I thought they were just like me, searching for something more. But deep down, they were broken, and in their brokenness, they reveled in pulling others down with them. At first, it seemed like harmless fun, just a little drink here, a wild night there, but soon I was staying out for days at a time, lying to my parents, and running with a crowd that was involved in things far darker than I ever imagined. It didn't take long before I got into serious trouble. One night, we were at a party in an old abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city. The music was loud, the air thick with smoke, and the energy electric. Everyone was dancing, laughing, and pushing their limits, but something felt off that night. The people around me were more on edge than usual, whispering in corners, casting nervous glances toward the door. I should have left then, but I didn't. I was too far gone to listen to my instincts. Suddenly, everything went wrong. There was shouting, a fight broke out, and before I knew it, the warehouse was filled with panic. Someone had brought a weapon, and within moments, the place was chaos. I tried to run, but I was caught in the crowd, pushed and pulled by people desperate to get out. I heard a gunshot, and that's when the realization hit me I had gone too far. I was in a place I didn't belong, with people who didn't care about me. Fear gripped me as I stumbled through the chaos, searching for a way out. When I finally escaped, my heart was pounding, my mind racing with what I had just witnessed. I had never seen such violence before, never imagined that the life I had chosen could lead to this. I ran all the way home, shaking, my clothes torn, my spirit shattered. But even as I stood in the safety of my front yard, I knew something had changed. The path I had taken couldn't be undone. I had crossed a line and there was no going back. For the next few weeks, I tried to forget about what happened. I avoided the people I used to hang out with, stopped going to the city, and threw myself back into the routine of village life. But the consequences of my actions were already catching up to me. My reputation in the village had been ruined. My parents' trust was shattered, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't erase the memories of that night. Then, the final blow came. It was a warm afternoon when two men from the city arrived at our doorstep. They were looking for me. I recognized them immediately, were part of the group I had run with in the city. Their presence sent a chill down my spine. They said that I owed them something, that I was involved in what happened that night, and now I had to pay the price. I tried to explain that I didn't want anything to do with them, that I had made a mistake, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. The life I had so eagerly embraced was now demanding a price I couldn't pay. They threatened my family, and suddenly, everything I had taken for granted, the safety of my home, the love of my parents, the quiet peace of village life was gone. I realized then that my choices had led me to this moment. I had wanted freedom, excitement, and adventure, but I had found only danger and regret. My parents had tried to warn me, but I hadn't listened, and now there was no escape from the consequences of my actions. I had put my family in danger, and there was nothing I could do to fix it. In desperation, I ran to the village elders, hoping they could help, but even they could see that I had gone too far. They offered me advice, but there was little they could do to undo the mess I had created. The city had its grip on me, and I was trapped in a world I no longer wanted to be part of. I spent the next few days in hiding, trying to figure out a way to protect my family, but the guilt and fear weighed heavily on me. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and couldn't think straight. I had made a series of terrible decisions, and now it was too late to fix any of it. Then, one night, I received word that someone I had once considered a friend had been arrested. The authorities were closing in on the group I had once run with, and it was only a matter of time before they came for me. The thought of prison terrified me, but even worse was the knowledge that I had brought this on myself. I had chosen this path, and now I had to face the consequences. I stood outside my home, looking at the stars, wishing for a second chance. I wanted to go back to the days when life was simple, when my family trusted me, and when I hadn't yet made the mistakes that would change everything. But time doesn't move backward, and there are some actions that can't be undone. I thought about all the times my parents had tried to guide me, about the lessons I had ignored, and the warnings I had laughed off. I had been so focused on chasing excitement that I had lost sight of what truly mattered: family, integrity, and the peace that comes from living an honest life. The next morning, the authorities arrived. They asked me questions about the night at the warehouse, about the people I had been with. I didn't lie. There was no point anymore. I told them everything I knew, hoping that maybe, just maybe, my cooperation would help ease the consequences of my actions. But deep down, I knew that I had already lost too much. As they led me away, I caught one last glimpse of my parents standing on the porch, their faces etched with disappointment and sorrow. It was the final blow, the realization that I had not only ruined my own life, but had broken the hearts of the people who had loved me the most. Regret is a heavy burden to carry, and in that moment I felt its full weight. I wished I had listened, that I had made different choices, but it was too late. The price of my wayward path had been paid, and there was no going back. And so, I left the village that day, not knowing what the future held, but fully aware that the life I had once known was gone forever. I had learned my lesson, but the cost was more than I had ever imagined. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that the choices we make today shape our tomorrow. I thought chasing freedom meant breaking free from the rules, but all I found was heartache and regret. The people who love you, your family, your true friends, they're the ones who want the best for you. I didn't see that until it was too late. Now, looking back, I understand that real freedom comes from staying true to who you are and the values that guide you. You don't have to lose yourself chasing what looks exciting. I wish I had listened, wish I had taken the time to see what truly mattered. Don't make the same mistake I did. It's never too late to choose the right path unless you wait until it is.